Well, I think you have to embrace technology. It's no longer a case where it's a nice to have. I think if you're not fully conversant in technology, or you hire someone to manage your technology for you, you're going to get left behind because the smart guys uh, are evolving exponentially. Perfect example is the role of AI. What does AI play in a law office? And lawyers are so typical because when people started having websites, the original lawyers, the old school, was like, I don't need a website. I do good legal work, and word of mouth, people come to me. Well, that worked for Abe Lincoln.
Yeah,
Okay?
right.
It doesn't work today. I mean, you'll get a few cases by referrals, but you've got to be able to market yourself. So you have to embrace technology because you have to work efficiently, you have to work quickly, you have to work collaboratively. You need to be able to work remotely with other people. So if you're not willing to do that, you got go work in a firm somewhere. If you want to own your own practice and have the flexibility to design your life the way you want to, you have to embrace technology.
Love that.
The second thing is, my practice didn't really get profitable until I bit the bullet and hired a virtual assistant.
Hmm.
Okay. I think, again, attorneys say, well, I'm going to wait till I get enough business that I have so much business that I can then go hire somebody. The
A-
wrong way to,
And another thing is they probably only want in-person
yeah,
workers.
yeah. They want to be able to see them because that's how they came up through the system. That's not how the world works. Although, I don't know, current administration is trying to make us go back to those days. But the world really works. People really want flexibility in terms of where they can work. Doesn't mean you can't require them to be in an office or in your visual space, but you have to give them flexibility. And the idea that I'm going to wait until I have enough work to afford to hire somebody is going to keep you from scaling up. You have to bite the bullet. And I worked with a company called Get Staffed Up. I highly endorse them. No affiliates or anything, but they're out of Florida. Get Staffed Up. They have offshore virtual assistants. And the difference with them and other virtual assistant agencies is you hire your virtual assistant for 40 hours a week. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, you hire them for a price less than what you would pay a domestic VA, but so you get a little more bang for your buck. But you have a contract for 1 year. You're going to pay 40 hours a week. You'd be surprised at how much you find they can do when you have to fill up their 40 hours, right? You have that commitment, so you're going to find work for them. So what does that tell? What does that do for you? It reduces your workload.
Hmm.
Yes, you have to train them. Yes, you have to onboard them. Yes, you have to monitor them. It doesn't come without, some work. But if you put the work into it, pretty soon you only have to work 20 hours a week while
Hmm.
they're working 40, or you work 10 hours a week while they're working 40. Okay? And what do you do with the rest of that time? You go get more business. Okay? So that's how I scaled, is when I committed to having a VA work 40 hours, that
Genius.
that made things work. And then the last part is, I think you
Wait, I want to pause 1 second. I
Mhm.
want to comment on what you just said because I really love it. VA work. I love it because when you read a book like The 4 Hour Work Week,
Yeah, Tim Ferriss. Yep.
it seems very mystical and it's like, whoa, like you don't believe that it's possible, but you just simply broke down how you can really reduce your time by actually using it. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you some concrete examples. Okay. I used to answer my own phone. Tyra Law Firm. Okay. Tyra Law Firm. I remember doing something, phone would ring. Yay, the phone's ringing. Tyra Law Firm. Right. Pretty soon, I'm like, damn, the phone's ringing. Okay. I hired a virtual receptionist. I'm still with the same virtual receptionist.
Wow.
Used to be called Ruby Receptionist, and now
Yeah.
just called Ruby. Okay, I've been with Ruby for 20 years. Okay, or ever since they started.
Yeah.
I used to do my own bookkeeping, my own accounting. Okay, well, I'm not an accountant. I know enough about QuickBooks to be dangerous, so I hired a remote bookkeeper. Then I hired a remote fractional CFO to help give me the 40,000 foot view of the financial well-being of my firm. Um, uh, but all the time, I was continually looking at how can I market my practice efficiently. Okay. I don't want to have to go to a lot of networking events. I don't have time for all that. I work with referral-based systems, but I really want to leverage, and of course, I'm a techie. I want to leverage social media. Okay, and so I was advertising, and my scope of my practice was statewide because I could do it remotely. I didn't, the people in farthest regions of the state, I could still service them because
Right.
I've set this up. It still wasn't working for me. And so I had a friend of mine who owned a pool company, and he told me, your footprint's way too big. In your little town that you live in, there's more than enough people to keep you busy the rest of your life. I went,
Interesting.
really? Sure. You need to make yourself the best estate planning attorney in Darnestown, Maryland. Okay, population 50,000. And so when I started micro niching my marketing down to my smallest geographic area.
Wait. I'm going to ask you this question
Yeah.
again in an interview question so you can
Yeah.
set this all up in a nice way.
Yeah.
What is your third best piece of advice in order? So instead of casting a wide net, what do we do?
Micro niche down to the small geographical area. Yeah. Yeah. Because first off, it's cheaper. Okay. You're not broadcasting statewide. You're just in your city. You become well known in your city. Then parents, grandparents, neighbors, they all know you do estate planning. And so that factor, my micro niche down to a small geographic area, VAs and technology. And I think that's the future, or that's what you have to do. I think that's actually, frankly, the minimum now. I think if you're a solo or a small firm practitioner, if you don't have all three of those legs in the stool firmly established, that's going to tip over and you're going to be on your ass, right?